Welcome to Agrifood Conversations, brought to you by iSelect, the Van Trump Report, and the Yield Lab Institute and Family Farms Group. My name is Luke Wazenchuk, and I'm an analyst on the iSelect team. I'm excited to walk you through today's call. On today's Agrifood Conversation call, we are joined by Payam Portaheri, Chief Operating Officer of AgroSphere. AgroSphere is revolutionizing crop protection through a new, environmentally friendly delivery platform called the Agricell. The system is designed to provide better protection of active ingredients, more finely tuned controlled release, and superior pest targeting. It shields active ingredients from harsh environmental conditions, controls the timing of their release for more sustained and controlled pest control, and can be precisely targeted to mitigate off-target exposure. Each of you knows companies are more likely to succeed with the right network of customers, talent, investors, and advisors. We've invited you to this call because you are some of the smartest and most talented people in AgroSphere's market. You are potential customers of AgroSphere's products and services. You built and sold a company like AgroSphere's, or you are a sophisticated business person who understands AgroSphere's market and the challenges it may face. Before we get started, we have a quick poll question to get a better idea of who we have on the call today. Please take a few seconds to answer. A few process comments. We are not soliciting investment. This presentation is to provide information about AgroSphere's products and services to help them find customers, mentors, and other strategic relationships that can help them grow their business. You are all on mute. You can use the chat window to ask a question. After the formal part of the presentation, we will be answering as many questions as time allows. This presentation is being recorded and will be available for replay. So without further delay, I am pleased to introduce Payam Portaheri, Chief Operating Officer of AgroSphere. Go ahead and take it away, Payam.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. Would like to thank iSelect, the Van Trump Report, Yield Labs, and Family Farms for inviting me to give this webinar. Like you said, my name is Payam Portaheri. I'm the co-founder and COO of AgroSphere. A little bit about my background: I went to the University of Virginia, got my degree in nanomedicine engineering with a background in biomedical engineering, material science, and chemistry. Just to give you guys a quick intro into AgroSphere, it was founded by my partner Amir Shakil and myself. He's the CTO, I'm the COO. We spun out of UVA in 2016. We raised a $750,000 seed round in 2017 to establish our roots here in Charlottesville, Virginia. We signed multiple strategic partnerships. There's 7 of us employed in Charlottesville. We're about hiring 2 more people, doubling our lab space. Our current stage, we're greenhouse and field trials with our products. And we're currently closing our Series A round, which we're excited to finish up and announce. So to talk about the issues that we're dealing with in agriculture, especially in the pesticide space. So 70 to 90% pesticides are lost in the environment, and that's due to current delivery problems. There's inadequate shielding of actives, limited controlled release of these actives, and insufficient leaf adherence or pest targeting. This is a problem for synthetic pesticides and especially a problem for biologicals. Biological pesticides struggle to compete with the efficacy of these synthetic chemicals. And the impact is that they're less effective in the field. You need higher dose rates and increased costs for farmers. There's increased pollution of soil and water, and there's a lot of health problems that are associated with pesticide overspraying and contamination of the environment. There are countless World Health Organization reports about the detriments of pesticides. And so we're here to solve this problem. We do that with our transformative technology. It's called the Agricell. Luke gave a great background on what it can do. It's a small spherical biological cell. It's quite sophisticated but simple to work with. And it's also very scalable, which is very important when you're spraying these technologies over the course of acres. And it's quite modular as well. We can fine tune it depending on the intended use. and we can do a lot of rapid prototyping with it. I'll walk you through the key aspects of the technology. It can encapsulate synthetic chemicals and also biologicals. Another key part of the technology is it can also synthesize these biologicals. If that biomolecule or biocontrol can be synthesized in a microbe, it can be synthesized in this platform. And the membrane provides a huge advantage. It can protect these active ingredients from extreme temperatures, pHs, UV light, and enzymes. And it can also control release. So it's depending on the strength of the membrane, we can control its breakdown rate, and the breakdown rate determines the release of the active into the environment. And we can fine tune that based on the active ingredient and the target pathogen. And finally, another key aspect of our technology is the targeting. This is a biomolecule that is actually expressed on the surface of the membrane, and this biomolecule can be targeted to the gut receptor of an insect, the surface of a plant leaf, or also serve as antifungal or antimicrobial properties. Here's a scanning electron microscope image of the Agricell. It's a natural fermentation product. In these industrially suitable rod-shaped bacterial cells, this division process is actually a mistake. It's actually a genetic malfunction in its division process. We've actually developed these cells to continuously produce these Agricells. And what's really important about the Agricell is that it lacks DNA. So the modifications you make to this host bacterial cell, the Agricell will retain, but it will lack the genomically modified DNA. And that's important because we received a non-GMO inert designation from the FDA and EPA. We're still working with the European regulatory agencies to hopefully get the same designation, but this gives us great confidence that this delivery technology is non-GMO. And we have 4 international patents that are pending on our technology. And the best part about the technology is that most of the work is done upstream. The bacteria does most of the work, the processing, the expression, the encapsulation for us. So it's a huge COGS advantage. And so talking about biologicals, I mentioned synthetics that we can encapsulate them, but I also wanted to really highlight the fact that we can engineer these parent cells to produce these biologicals. In this case, we're talking about double-stranded RNA for RNA interference. So we have these bacterial cells produce a double-stranded RNA. Then we have the bacterial cell produce the agrocells for us. These agrocells will split off from the parent cells with the biological already loaded, and then we can simply isolate these agrocells, and they already have the biomolecule encapsulated within them. This one fermentation run produces both the Agricell delivery capsule and the active ingredient biological. This actually greatly reduces our production costs, and also the encapsulation provides a stability advantage for our product. For commercial applications, storage is quite important. This can be dried to a powder or stored as a liquid suspension. It's easily resuspended in water. It's applied with commercial sprayers. With one of our partners, we developed shear stress simulations using pumps and sprayers, and the technology was able to withlast. A lot of problems with microbial delivery technologies is that they cannot withlast the shear, but we had to make sure that our product is commercially viable. The encapsulation technology also is biodegradable. This is important because a lot of current encapsulation technologies can be classified as microplastics. I know the EU is phasing them out, so we want to make sure that the encapsulation technology is not harming the environment, and it's low COGS, so it can be sprayed across acres. I'm sure many of you are familiar with these 2 markets. These are the markets we're targeting. The crop protection market, the pesticide market is mainly consisting of synthetics. We have some partnerships in this space that I'll get into, but our value here is encapsulating these actives and improving the delivery to plants. And so initial delivery is enhanced, and also the active is also prolonged in the environment. This will give farmers the ability to spray less of our active up front and spray it less often. This will hopefully prevent environmental contamination of overspraying of pesticides. So we do have a great value add in the pesticide market space, but what we're truly passionate about is the biological segment. This is a segment of the total pesticide market, and it's growing quite rapidly. This is technology driven. You have great sequencing technologies, great microbial advancements. You see technologies for RNA interference, antibodies, spider venom, toxin, peptides, a lot of cool new technologies for biocontrols, but also consumer driven. People want safer alternatives to crop protection products. And so these are the two markets that we're working on, and we're especially excited about the biologicals. We do have research collaborations. We enjoy working with experienced industry partners. It also provides third-party validation. That's critical to us. We need to ensure that the data we're collecting in lab is also matched elsewhere. And this can be done by our partner CROs or at our partners. And we also do a lot of our work at CROs. We have a great one here in Danville, Virginia, Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. They have great greenhouses and fungal plate assays for us. So we do work with CROs and we do work with partners. Automo is our first partner. We're developing a synthetic pesticide together. Marone Bio Innovations, we're developing a bioherbicide together. And in the space that we're working on, a lot more in the biocontrol space, is RNA interference. We're working with Agricell, and in this collaboration, we're actually doing the entire production and encapsulation. So they provide us with a sequence, and we use our production platform to produce and encapsulate the double-stranded RNA. We got some very favorable data from that I'll get into. And also Greenlight Biosciences, they have a tremendous dsRNA production platform. So they would produce the double-stranded RNA and we would encapsulate it in our Agracell technology. And we have other confidential collaborations, and we're always looking for partners. So if you're an industry member and are interested in collaborating, please feel free to email me afterwards. I have 3 slides of data that I'll quickly go over. Control release is a critical aspect of our technology. As you can see, there are 5 different release profiles of the Agracell, and this is based on cross-linking the membrane of the Agracell and also the population of Agracells that are cross-linked. So to get a really fast release, we may only cross-link a minor population of the Agracells, and if we want a very slow sustained release, we'll be cross-linking a majority of the population. And cross-linking really strengthens the membrane of the Agracells, then slows down the breakdown and the release of the products. So we have in a 28-day release experiment, we can release anywhere from a quarter of the product to 80% of it. And this is important because of the target pest. So let's say we're targeting an insect with a 28-day life cycle. You want most of that to release into the environment and kill the insect during its life cycle. But if it's a persistent fungus that can last around for 2 months or more, you would want a slower sustained release. Here's some favorable data we received from TechExcel and Renaissance Ag. We were working on a Lepidoptera feeding assay. They provided us with a sequence and we expressed it, encapsulated it, and it's one of the best we've seen work on these Lepidoptera. 30 nanograms was one of the lowest doses they'd achieve. We were able to half that. We actually were able to half it again to 7.5 nanograms over 3 days. So very promising data in the double-stranded RNA space. We do provide enhanced efficacy. We believe because the Agracell can protect the double-stranded RNA from the saliva in the mouth of these Lepidoptera, and also once it reaches the gut, it has enough time to release the double-stranded RNA so that it's processed properly within the insect. While we're on the topic of enhanced efficacy, we also are working on a synthetic fungicide called prothioconazole and comparing that to proline. Our technology, as you see, number 1 and number 2, at 1 ppm actually can take oxysporum and graminearium all the way to 98% inhibition, where proline will normally teeter out around 90%. So we do have enhanced efficacy. We believe that's due to the encapsulation, increasing a concentrated dose to the fungus. So we're very promising data on controlled release and enhanced efficacy for both biologicals and synthetics. Just to get into the products we're working on, we're very passionate about developing our own products. We just received an NSF STTR grant, a phase 1 grant to collaborate with NC State to develop a thrips bioinsecticide. And this is a dual-prong approach where we're using RNA interference and also a gut targeting protein. So we use the Agricell platform to internally synthesize double-stranded RNA and also surface express a peptide that'll attach the Agricell to a receptor in the gut for better delivery of the payload. And we're partnering with Dr. Dorothy Rottenberg and Dr. Anna Whitfield. They're leading experts in thrips research. And thrips account for 60% of pest-related losses to tomatoes and peppers. They're a big market, and we're looking forward to developing this product. And if all goes well, we'll be applying for our phase 2 in conjunction with NC State. This is another project we're very passionate about, Botrytis Bunch Rot. We're using another dual prong approach. We're using RNAi and surface expressed antifungal peptides. So the antifungal peptides damage the membrane of the fungus, and then the RNAi payload is then delivered. We received a $600,000 grant from the state of Virginia. Big thanks to Virginia Catalyst for providing us with the funding necessary. And this grant is a three-way partnership. It's between AgroSphere's University of Virginia and Virginia Tech. And we're working in partnership with Dr. Sharif of Virginia Tech and Mark Kester, University of Virginia. They're experts in plant pathology and biomolecule delivery. And this is a broad spectrum fungus that targets many specialty crops, especially our Virginia wine, which was another interest of the Catalyst group to make sure we're helping Virginia crops. So we're very passionate about this project, and we're excited to work with the universities. And finally, one of our biggest markets that we're working on is the Asian soybean rust. We are partnered with RWTH Aachen University of Germany with Dr. Uwe Konrad and Dr. Kasper Langenbach, who are experts in ASR research. And what we're doing is synthesizing, encapsulating metabolites and antifungal peptides to target this. Will be one of the first biologicals for soybean rust, and the market alone in Brazil is 1.5 billion. I'm really excited about this project as well. These are our 3 products that we're working on in-house. So we do like working with partners, but we're very passionate about developing our own products. Quick glimpse into our business model. So we're developing our own products. We'll then also license them for synthetics and biologicals to get royalties in return from our partners. And there's also a production aspect where we can manufacture agrocells for licensees or for people looking for, or for companies looking for formulation additives. And we're targeting our first commercial sales in 2023 to 2024. Our advisory team is quite strong. This is one of the best aspects of our company. Kelly Smith, who's head of microbials at AgBiome, helps us with our fermentation processes and our scale-up processes. Per Falholt was the former senior vice president of research from Novozymes. He was one of our earliest advisors and helped unlock the core technology of the Agricell. Michael Koch was the former head of IP of Syngenta, helps us draft our claims and make sure they're ironclad, and also helps us negotiate partnership deals. Jerry Yelly, who is a global head of regulatory development around Monsanto, is our consultant for regulatory affairs. And also our early on advisors, Todd Abraham, who's now at the Kronos Group, and Mark Kester, who's actually, we actually spun out of Mark Kester's lab at UVA. He's a biomolecules expert and also a co-founder of the company. And the final slide, I think the most important, we have a great team. I'm quite fortunate to be working with these 2 gentlemen. Amir, my co-founder, has been a great partner for me from the beginning. And Doug, we recently hired last August. This is his second ag biotech stint. His first one, he co-founded Grassroots Biotechnologies. They were acquired by Monsanto, and now he's here to help us. Great thing for me is he was a co-founder and COO of that company. So I have a mentor and a CEO that helped us take us to the next level. So yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you for listening, farmers, industry partners, and investors. If any of you are interested, please follow up, and I'm happy to chat with you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Byam. It was really interesting. Got a lot of exciting things happening on the Agricell platform. Now we're going to start the questions portion of the webinar. So to ask a question, you can use the hand raising icon, and I'll unmute you so you can ask your question in person. Or if you don't want to, you can go to the question window on the right side of your screen and type it into the question box. So Byam, one of my questions is around the development of the Agricell, and you're clearly attracting a lot of really interesting attention from some of the industry leaders in the space. So when you're discussing these collaborations and potential partnerships, what part of the platform excites them the most about the Agricell? Where do they find the most value in what it is that you guys can do?
Right, Luke. So it depends on the customer. Synthetic companies are looking for the shielding and the controlled release and the leaf adherence of the technology. When we're speaking with biologicals, they're more interested in the production and stability in the field. For biologicals, cost and stability are two of the major hurdles for commercialization. So if we can produce them cheaply and make sure they're stable enough in the environment to compete with these synthetics, that's what gets them excited. So it depends on the customer.
Gotcha. Looks like we got a question from the audience. Kevin Chen, I'm going to unmute you here so you can ask your question. You should be good. Kevin, go ahead if you're ready. Oops. All right. Looks like we're having a little difficulty there. I got another follow-up question for you, Payam. So in terms of the environmental impact of the Agricell, are there any concerns from the EPA or other regulatory bodies about the potential environmental effect after it's delivered its chemical or biologic? Is there runoff concerns? Can you just talk a little bit more about that, please?
Right, and any application of chemicals have runoff and concerns like that. The goal for us is that we'd be spraying less of that chemical, and the encapsulation technology itself is biodegradable. It does not have any detriments to environmental fate, and so the goal is that we'd be spraying that once and then, or less than what you'd normally be spraying, and the leaf adherence of the technology will prevent the runoff so that the insecticide or fungicide is on the leaf long enough to do its job and then degrade on its own. So that is definitely something we're working on with the regulatory agencies, but better to spray less and have it be more targeted than have to spray multiple times and have it then run off and contaminate the environment.
Gotcha. And we got a question from the audience here from Ted. He's wondering if you're working on products in the organic area.
Right, so there are some metabolites we're working on. A lot of biologicals you would hopefully classify as organic. They're not synthetically made. So there are some metabolites, but we are definitely looking forward to and looking for partners to, if they have any organic compounds in mind, happy to hop off, talk offline to see if there's a collaboration. But yes, the organic market is definitely something we're interested in working in.
Great. And then we've got another question here from the audience. John Cruz, I'm going to unmute you here. Go ahead and ask your question now.
Yeah, you mentioned favorable cost of goods, and I'm curious if you have a sense of what the incremental cost would be to the grower.
Yeah, great. Thanks for asking that. So for biologicals and synthetics, the production process isn't the cost isn't very different. So when you take into account raw materials at larger scales, toll manufacturing, it's about 22 cents per gram for production of our product. And then depending on the formulation and the post-process treatment and filtration, it can run you any extra $1.50 to $2.
Great, thanks, Payam. And then Kevin, let's try this one more time. It looks like your hand's still up. Go ahead and ask your question if the mic's working. If not, feel free to type your question into the question box. All right, I'm going to move on to the next one then. Doug is wondering, for RNAi, how does the Agricell compare to other delivery technologies?
Right, so there aren't many delivery technologies out there for RNAi. From our partners, they have said it's one of the best they've seen in industry. You'll see various formulating agents such as chitosan and things like that that add some more stability. But from our work with our partners, we haven't seen a delivery technology that's better than ours for RNA interference.
Very cool. And then, so Payam, you're working with a really impressive, platform technology here. Do you see applications of the Agricell outside of agriculture specifically? Do you have kind of a pipeline of future product development that you're thinking about at this stage, or mainly just focused on environmental applications?
Yeah, Luke, definitely. So for platform technologies, that's one of the early on problems is finding focus. So we are laser focused in our agricultural efforts, but there are definitely many applications outside of agriculture and industrial enzymes, food nutrition, animal feed, pharmaceuticals. So there are definitely paths outside. We have a small collaboration developing filtration using the Agracell, using proteins that enhance filtration. So there are definitely applications outside of agriculture, but right now our laser focus is in the environmental space.
Gotcha. And lastly, Payam, what can the audience help you out with here? How can they find you if they're interested in learning more? What sorts of areas are you looking for assistance in?
Yeah, sure. So we're always looking for industry partners that we can learn from and collaborate with. That's big for us. Like you saw, we have some industry partners that we're working on developing products with. We are closing our A round, but we're always, thinking about the next round. So if any investors are interested in speaking about our runway and our goals, that's definitely helpful. And then farmers who are dealing with problems with pathogens, we'd love to know what problems they're dealing with, what pests are targeting their crops, so that we can incorporate these products into our pipeline.
Awesome. Makes sense. Thanks, Payam, and thank you everyone else for participating in this webinar. If you'd like to learn more about AgroSpheres, please let us know by answering this poll question. We host these calls every week at 3 p.m. Central. You can register for the Agri-Food Conversations webinar series by going to agrifoodconversations.com. A replay of this webinar will be emailed to you in the next 24 hours. If you know others that may want to see this webinar on replay, they will be able to access it on agrifoodconversations.com within 24 hours. Thank you all for attending. Have a good rest of your Thursday afternoon.